back when the industry had higher highs and lower lows, then you had to hire a bunch of people really quickly. And so then when things, turned down because it's cyclical, then you had to shed more workforce. And so now that we've kind of entered this era of industrialization of the industry, that brings more stability. And so I think that the growth that we'll see will be slow, continue to be slow and steady.
So, for people who don't know and have not heard of the council, what is it and what do you do?
Sure. So we are the National Trade Association for Energy Services and Equipment Companies. So we represent organizations, kind of large ones that you may have heard of, like Halliburton, Baker Hughes, SLB, NOV. And it goes all the way down the supply chain. And we represent more than 200 companies in the supply chain, and the things that we do on behalf of those companies are we do a lot of advocacy, primarily with the federal government, and then also a lot of workforce development, best practice sharing, benchmarking, and then also providing networking opportunities because it's important to network across the supply chain, but also like bringing in our members, EMP customers, to talk specifically to their suppliers and about how we can partner better together. So that's what we do at a high level. And I've had the pleasure of working with the organization for 11 years. And it's been an exciting 11 years. We continue, the sector continues to change. And so the needs of the association continue to adapt and evolve.
With that. And I know we did talk for another interview a little while back, and it was before the election. So now we have Trump is elected. Do you foresee, or does the council foresee any changes in the sector?
Yeah, so I think, President Trump has routinely expressed his interest in unleashing American energy production. And so, as it relates to the industry, I think that having smart policies, smart regulations that encourage domestic energy production is a good thing. So we expect, to see an ease of regulatory burdens. And, as it relates to jobs and we're looking at, the workforce specifically, I think one of the things that is really important in an administration like this is that it brings more certainty to domestic energy production and encouraging long-term investment in the sector. Um, it also changes the narrative around the stability and livelihood of the industry. So it will encourage more people that there is a long-term path for people that are interested in having a career in the industry. That long-term path has already been here. That doesn't change, but how it is talked about by the president matters, because, in the current administration, it was said, I think at one of the State of the Unions, that the industry would only be around for 10 more years, and we know that that's not true, but when, that is said by someone from such a high position of importance, people take that and they hear it and it enters doubt at a minimum. And, then you start thinking about, like, do I want to enter an industry that's not going to be around for a long time, that I can't build a career in? And so I think that words matter, and I think that the narrative around the industry will be much improved.
And more positive. That makes sense. And I know
Mhm.
we talked a little bit too. Job growth has continued in that sector, right? It's continuing to kind of, I mean, it was like more at a like slow and steady rate, but it is like the job opportunities are there.
Correct, and I think that that will continue. I think that we'll continue to see kind of slow and steady growth, and I think that we feel good about that, because when we have to, like, hire eh, back when the industry had higher highs and lower lows, then you had to hire a bunch of people really quickly, and so then when things, turned down because it's cyclical, then you had to shed more workforce, and so now that we've kind of entered this era of industrialization of the industry that brings more stability. And so I think that the growth that we'll see will be slow, continue to be slow and steady.
And also with diversity in the industry, are you seeing greater diversity in the industry?
Yeah, we are. So we do a study on the workforce every 3 years, and we do that in partnership with Accenture, where we survey our member companies and what they're seeing in their workforce. And when it comes to diversity, we did that study again this year, and we saw an increase in women going up to 21% of the workforce, and with race and ethnic diversity, it's 38%. So the race and ethnic diversity much more closely mirrors the general population of race and ethnicity that's available in the workforce. For women, women are 48% of the workforce, and we're at 21%. So we've got some, we're gaining ground, but we've still got some work to do. And I would say, in particular, when it comes to um, STEM related roles and technical roles, that's where we have a lot of area to catch up on.
So that's kind of a cool thing. I guess people or women or girls who are studying. So that's another avenue they could take if you study STEM and that type of thing. That's that it's I guess there's a necessity for that in the oil and gas industry, correct?
Yeah, so it's not a necessity to be in the industry to have a STEM background, but there's a lot of opportunity for people with STEM backgrounds within the industry. And so I think that that is definitely an area of opportunity. It's an area for our companies to focus their recruiting efforts, but they're looking to increase their diversity. And I think that one of the things that the reason why our companies are focused on that is because when you have diversity of thought within your organization, that leads to different ideas, different ways of thinking, and then leads to more of, innovation. And so that's how you continue to see, us be able to change the industry, and, the more different perspectives that we have, the better.
And I know also what you were talking about, it's something that it pays pretty well in the industry in general. So somebody coming out of high school, they could come into to begin a career in oil and gas, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, and you can come in with, a STEM background and having gone to college, but you can also come in, and learn a trade, get on-the-job training, or if you've gone to trade school, that's a good avenue as well, and these are positions that you can come into without having a college degree and make a really good salary and, build a good stable life for yourself and building a family.
And then AI is another thing that's in every industry, but you said that this is making an impact here as well. What are you seeing with AI?
Yeah, so, it's an area that there's it's going to be a part of, our work. We're gonna be working alongside AI from now on, and it's not going to replace people, but more of like, how do we integrate AI into our existing roles and our operations? And so it can reshape the industry from improving operational efficiency to also helping decision-making processes and predictive maintenance, things like that. But I think that our companies realize that there's a lot of education that has to happen in this area. And what we know is that it is easier to train people that understand your business on AI than it is to bring in an AI expert who doesn't know your business to try to transform the business. And so that is a really big reskilling opportunity within the industry right now because it is the benefit if you already understand the business. But that means you got to start even just working in, AI platforms to just get some of that exposure. Um, in our one of our, trainings with Accenture, we learned that it takes over 200 hours, just working in AI platforms to be able to start to understand how you can translate that to the business. So there's a lot, workforce-wise that, we can do here, but it's exciting. It's exciting. It's also, there's challenges and opportunities with anything. Um, there are, a lot of opportunities, but, you kinda have to keep it simple, getting started, and I think that you don't wanna get companies don't wanna get left behind, but it's hard to know where to start. But we gotta get started somewhere, and part of that is developing the workforce.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of the digital adoption, I guess, is what they're saying in a lot
Yeah,
of different offices, but you kind of slowly just getting like employees and everybody caught up on what, how it's going to be implemented and that type of thing.
that's right. Exactly.
And also, what regions of the US are you seeing the most growth in this sector?
So, we represent more than 655,000 jobs in the US. There's 6 top energy producing states, and those states account for 76% of those jobs. So Texas, of course, has the vast majority of that. Texas has 317,000 of the jobs, followed by Louisiana, Oklahoma, Colorado, New Mexico, and then California. But we have, jobs in all 50 states. So when we talk about, like, the opportunities in the US, they're everywhere, and that also matters when we are advocating on behalf of the industry and we're going to meet with a member of Congress. We can talk about the number of jobs that we represent in their district.
Because it's not just extraction. There's like so many. I was researching it. There's so many different areas.
That's right. That's right. And the services and equipment companies, employ a lot of the jobs. We've got a lot of the workforce, and a lot of it is the frontline workforce that's in the field and on the shop floor. Um, and so there's, a lot of opportunity, uh, to be able to tell a story about the jobs that are available, and, these are really good opportunities across a very wide variety from the trades to the very highly technical.
Situation. Now, do you have as a council, do you have any things big coming up, like conventions or any type of things that you have going on?
Yeah, so, looking at 2025, as we enter the holiday season, we're really excited about, a couple of things. One is we have, um, a slate of workforce development programs, that start in the first quarter of the year. We started those probably 10 years ago, and it was because I remember companies came to us and they're like, "We really need to get leadership development further into our organizations because there's only a very select few that are able to go through that." And so we started that, and it has grown and grown, and it gives people access to executive coaching in some of the programs. But then also a couple years ago, they said, these leadership programs are great, but where we really, really need leadership development, where we really need to develop the workforce, is on the front line. And so we started a leadership development program for, our frontline workforce, and that has been really, really impactful, because the people that come through that program predominantly have not been to a leadership training before. And so, they're learning about how to lead differently, how to lead in a collaborative way, and our companies really want them to do that, and I think just that investment from their company, um, and knowing that their organization wants to invest in them is builds a lot of loyalty. So that's an area that I care a lot about. We also have our, DC fly-in will be at the end of February, and that's where we bring, executives from our member companies to go and meet with the new administration and also members of Congress. And so that'll be really exciting with the change in administration to go and be able to talk about like what that administration can be doing to help the industry. And then also we have our annual meeting that's in April of every year. and that is where we bring in, kind of the C-suite of all of our member companies, and we bring in different panels with what are the kind of top themes that are going on, and so, some of that is around, the industrialization of the industry, around power gen and the grid and the mix and what that looks like, and bringing power to remote locations, like, in the Permian as we try to electrify everything. And then, also a lot around technology, and then just our core customers coming in to talk about the opportunities, in onshore operations and then also offshore.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, definitely. And then that'll be interesting to see what happens with Congress. And I know a lot of people, even in transportation, they're really like, excited and about to see what's changes are going to be are happening and implemented. So that'll be great.
That's right. And bringing about too, like, what are the top key things that would be helpful from the administration, um, in order to unleash American energy? And so that's a great conversation, a great place to be, and we're looking forward to having those conversations.
That's great. And now, if people wanted to get more information on the council, where would they go? Like, what's the
Energyworkforce.org is our website. We've got a lot of information on there, and we've got a small and nimble team that stands ready to help people get engaged.
and also is for jobs, like, is there any resources that people can kind of look to when they're looking for jobs in the industry?
We do not have a job board, but we do have links to all of our member company sites where they have their job listings, and there's a lot of opportunity at our member companies.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so then people can go to the site for that too. That's great. Well, I appreciate you joining us today and definitely hope to have you back maybe as we start getting into the new year and what exciting things are going on in the industry.
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity.